The morning sky was painted a soft gray as the church bells rang faintly in the distance. Mourners moved slowly through the gates, their faces heavy with sorrow. Among them stood a young girl, Sophia, next to the coffin that carried the only parent she had truly known, her beloved father. He had been her light, the one who read her bedtime stories, who dried her tears, who promised she would never be alone. But life, in its cruel way, had broken that promise. As the final shovels of earth fell upon his resting place, Sophia's small world collapsed in silence. Clutching her worn teddy bear, her eyes swollen from hours of crying, she had no idea her pain was about to deepen. Just behind her stood her stepmother, Clara, dressed in black, playing the part of the grieving widow. But behind the veil of sorrow, her heart carried not grief, but bitterness. Clara had never wanted Sophia in her life, and now with the father gone, nothing was left to hold her back. By the time the funeral ended, Sophia's teddy bear was soaked with tears, and Clara's words cut through the air like ice. "You don't belong here anymore." The days stretched on, the sun breaking through the clouds as mourners left one by one. Sophia, dressed in a plain cream dress far too big for her fragile frame, was dragged back to the large house she once called home. But it no longer felt like home. Within minutes, Clara yanked clothes from Sophia's drawers, shoved them into a worn suitcase, and tossed it onto the driveway like unwanted baggage. The little girl pleaded, her voice cracking, "Please, Mama, forgive me." She had done nothing wrong, but in her innocence, she thought begging might change Clara's heart. Instead, a bucket of cold water was thrown over her thin body. Her tears now mixed with icy droplets rolling down her cheeks. Neighbors whispered, but did nothing. A man across the street shook his head sadly before walking away, and Clara smirked as she slammed the door, leaving Sophia kneeling on the driveway, clutching her teddy bear. Just when it seemed the world had turned its back on her, a sleek black car pulled up. From it stepped a tall man in a sharp suit, Adrian, a wealthy businessman known in town by reputation alone. He was on his way to a meeting when he spotted the heartbreaking scene. A memory flashed before him, his own childhood, filled with nights of loneliness after his mother's passing, and the sting of being unwanted. Something inside him broke. Adrian rushed forward, kneeling beside Sophia, not caring that his expensive suit was soaking in the puddle around her. He gently placed a hand on her trembling shoulder. "This ends here," he said firmly, his voice full of compassion. "No one will ever treat you like this again." Clara stormed outside, furious, spewing insults and calling Sophia a burden. But Adrian didn't flinch. He looked Clara directly in the eyes and said, "If you can abandon her after her father's funeral, then you don't deserve to be called a mother. From today, she is no longer unwanted. I will take her." Gasps spread through the crowd that had gathered. Clara froze, realizing she could not fight him, not against Adrian's strength, not against his authority. With a bitter scowl, she turned back inside and slammed the door. But this time, the sound didn't mean rejection. For Sophia, it meant freedom. Adrian lifted her suitcase, picked up the teddy bear lying on the ground, and held Sophia's small hand. For the first time since the funeral, she felt a flicker of warmth in her chest. The days that followed weren't easy. Sophia struggled with nightmares, waking in tears, afraid of being abandoned again. But Adrian stayed patient. He gave her new clothes and tutors, but most importantly, he gave her what she needed most: time, attention, and love. He read her bedtime stories, comforted her when she was afraid, and reminded her daily, "You are wanted."
Slowly, Sophia's laughter returned. Her eyes sparkled again, and the little girl who once cried on the driveway learned how to smile without fear. The town noticed. No longer did they whisper about cruelty. Now they spoke of compassion. They saw Adrian, a man of wealth who valued kindness above all else. They saw Sophia, once discarded, now a symbol of hope and resilience. Months later, on a bright afternoon, Sophia placed flowers on her father's grave. She whispered softly, promising him not to worry, that she was safe now. Adrian stood nearby, giving her space, yet ready to catch her if she faltered. And as the sunlight broke through the clouds, Sophia felt at peace. She had lost her father, but she had found a home, not in a house, but in the heart of someone who truly cared.